Good morning, Sully. How are you?
Pretty good, man. I guess you had a pretty exciting game yourself last night. Rancocas Valley and Lenape, RV with the 10-7 win. Tell us about that action.
Yeah, I think coming into this game, a lot of it had built up to this was pretty much, at this point, the game of the year right now. Both teams undefeated going in. Both teams really doing terrific things on both sides of the football. And, I don't think anybody imagined it to be a high-scoring game as it turned out. And, you saw a very, very entertaining game from start to finish last night with, RV's Iverson Clement, basically proving to everybody why he is an SEC caliber recruit going to Florida, and the fact that both teams play some pretty good defense. So highly entertaining game, both sides of the ball. It had its moments for both teams, and it was just a great atmosphere last night up at Lenape.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about this Clement kid. Obviously, he's a University of Florida recruit and one of the best running backs we've seen in South Jersey in quite a while, right?
Yeah, last night he kind of put it in my head. I think right now he's the best running back in South Jersey. I think he's the most complete running back in South Jersey, and he's about 5'11", about 200 pounds. He's got speed, and he can take the ball to the outside. He can take the ball between the tackles, and he's not afraid to take a hit, and he lays the hits as well. So also a pretty good defensive player. He scores the only touchdown in the game last night for RV. They're down 7-3. He scores on a 30-yard run. There's about a little over 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and really from that point on, it became a game. Where what would happen? What would happen next? What team would be able to capitalize on a mistake, or what team would be able to maintain some possession? And down the stretch, Lenape had some chances. They burned some timeouts real early in the second half, and it ended up hurting them over the last 4 or 5 minutes. RV had the ball and was able to run out the clock, and Clement down the stretch picked up a couple of key first downs to keep that final possession going and secure their win. So, like I said, highly entertaining game. Student sections were into it on both sides, of the stadium, and just a really good high school football game.
You surprised, Kevin, at the scoreless second half?
No, because this was a game where Lenape comes in as a team that had given up just one touchdown all season and coming off of 2 shutouts. And over the last, I want to say 2.5, 3 years, Lenape has kind of been known more for its defense. They've held teams down basically to a touchdown or less in just about I'd say maybe 80-85% of their games. And on the other side, you got an RV team who, with Iverson Clement, is going to be able to move the football. And I didn't think they were going to have any really big plays because of the way Lenape plays defense. And other than that 30-yard touchdown, it really wasn't any really huge plays where you picked up a large chunk of yardage. But RV showed last night too that it's more than just its offense. They came in averaging, I believe, was close to 40, right around 40 points a game in their first 4 games. But they really played extremely well on defense. They shut down Lenape defensively in the second half, and then when they got the ball, I believe it was over the final 13, 14 minutes or so, they held the ball for about 12 minutes of that time. So, I think RV really executed its game plan, took advantage of a couple of mistakes by Lenape, some mental mistakes. They had a couple penalties that really turned out to haunt them, and the fact that they didn't have their timeouts because they burned them in the third quarter. But, I think RV is a team that maybe a lot of people didn't think was as good as it really is, and they kind of proved it last night.
Kevin, a lot of interesting games and teams out your way. Woodrow Wilson with a real big road win over Morristown 30-20, and Cherokee with a win over Hamilton. Camden Catholic with a big win 48-14 over Pennsauken. Talk about some of these teams and where they stand now and what we should expect going forward here in October.
Well, the first team that kind of jumps out amongst that group is Camden Catholic. I think they've quietly gone about their business, winning their first 4 games, and winning those games rather emphatically. And they'll have they'll have a test next week when they play at Shawnee, another team that after they lost their opener to Cherokee in overtime, has bounced back and has won, its last 3 games. And I think that's a game that's going to be pretty entertaining as well next week. And you look at Wilson playing without its quarterback Nick Cardsman, who's had a little bit, I believe, of a shoulder problem these last couple of games. They come back, and Morristown's a much improved football team, and that was another game of unbeaten teams in that Royal Division. And Wilson overcame some mistakes, overcame some issues, I guess, that they had during the course of the game to pull away. And there's 2 teams right there that are among the better teams in South Jersey. And then you talk about a Cherokee team that was down 14-0 coming off of its bye week. I don't know whether they had some rust or not, but they bounced back and scored 35 points in the third quarter, and they end up, winning that game 35-14. So I think, when you look at your Twitter feed and you're looking at other games and scores that are coming across, and you see halftime scores, and you're wondering what's going on and all, and then you see what happens at the end. These teams are kind of playing full 32-minute, not 32 minutes, full football games, and really, doing what it takes to get the W. So, I think, there's definitely teams around that are definitely among the best in South Jersey, and it's just a shame that on a weekly basis we pretty much only get to see 1 or 2 of those teams on a Friday night. But, like we've talked about in the past, South Jersey's got itself a tremendous football base, and the football community in South Jersey should be really proud of the teams that they put out there, because there are any number of teams that can win games, on any given night.
Yeah, Kevin, let's get some staggered start times, a 3, a 6:30, a 9:45.
We could use maybe a Friday night doubleheader, and then, maybe one of the same, or even a triple header on a Saturday.
There you go.
Friday night football is where it's at, and being able to just get out there and especially last night to see the atmosphere at Lenape. The place was packed. The student sections were going back and forth, and the product on the field was very, very good. So, we take advantage of the one game a week we get to see on a Friday night, and basically you just got to take it all in.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. And Kevin, another really interesting game, looking at some of the box scores. West Deptford was down 20-7 to Sterling in the first quarter, and they come roaring back, score 14 points in the second half to win 34-33. And man, West Deptford's one of those teams you can never count them out, even if you get a 2-touchdown lead on them. And at this point, I would have to think they've got to be the favorite in South Jersey too.
Well, I think that coming in as a defending champion, we all thought that was, you have to go through West Deptford to get to that title, and I think that remains the case. But I think last night maybe showed a little bit that, maybe the gap between West Deptford and some other teams is not as large as some may think. And, I'd seen Sterling play last week. I was impressed with the way that they had played. I think that they played a team in West Deptford that was a little bit better than their opponent the week before, and Sterling comes out and scores right off the opening kickoff. So, Sterling is a team that's a pretty good football team, and West Deptford maybe showed some chinks in its armor. I'm not sure. Obviously you didn't get a chance to see it, but like we said, to win a championship you have to go through West Deptford, and sometimes you win ugly. And if you simply look at a box score from that game last night, then you might think that may have been an ugly win, but unless you're there, you really can't tell. But West Deptford, Kenny Lim is a junior who's in his third year of varsity action, and a very talented running back. He scored 4 touchdowns for him last night, and West Deptford's got maybe that's a little bit of a wake up call. I'm not sure, but they have their annual battle, I think, with Haddonfield in 2 weeks on a Friday night, and that'll be another test for them. I'm not sure off the top of my head who they have next week, but just kind of looking to that Haddonfield game as one that always really kind of sets the tone too. So West Deptford, like I said, you got to beat West Deptford to get to that title, and Sterling came awful close last night, so maybe that's a wake-up call.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, what do you make of Camden? They came down to Cedar Creek, got a big win last week, and they go out last night and shut out Cherry Hill West 26-0.
I think Camden's a team that's kind of under the radar a little bit. They've got some kids playing this year who have waited their turn to play varsity football and to get in there and really make an impact. And they're a team that's gonna they're gonna be a playoff team, and there's a team that maybe is gaining momentum and gaining steam. So got to keep your eye on them, down the stretch, and we'll find out. But like I said, a team that has some kids that have been waiting to make an impact, and obviously they've done that in the last couple of games.
If you're a high school sports fan, log on to sjvarsity.com, become a subscriber. Kevin, I'm sure you got a ton planned out from now until Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're trying. We're going to continue to try to hit the different sports that are out there, and some Q&As and some features and some games, of course, and take it from there. So, like I said, hopefully, like you said, hopefully people jump on board and start continuing to subscribe, and we build this website up.
Yeah, man, this is the crazy time of year in fall, particularly. You get that middle October. You got all kind of soccer teams vying for playoff position. Field hockey, tennis is in the playoffs. So girls volleyball, there's just so much going on. I sit down at night and try to wrap my head around it all.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to hit no matter how many people you have on your staff. Obviously, I'm a staff of one, but yourself. But it's tough no matter how many people you have to try to get out there and hit the different sports and the different games and stories that are out there. But we're doing our best, and we'll continue to do so.
I hear you, man. I'll be working the phones all weekend, so I'm sure you'll be doing the same thing.
Yep, that's what we do. That's what we do it because we love to do it.
Great stuff as always, Kevin. Appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
Hey, you too, Sully. Thanks again.
That was Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. We're going to take a quick